Well, hey, how's everybody doing? I hope we're doing good today. Spring's coming. Days are going to get longer. Weather's going to get warmer, at least for us here in the northern country. Some of you folks are already dealing with too much warm weather. Anyways, it's quite chilly here tonight, very windy. Going to go down into the single digits, probably down below zero. But that's all right. I got good wood in the stove. So I've been hearing a lot about we don't have a social compact, and so therefore we don't have a legitimate government. And none of this sounded right to me. So I did some research, and I'm gonna read some of what I found. So I'll put my cheaters on here. My eyes are just tired. My least favorite thing is reading and writing. I'll be so glad to be done with all this and just be back working with my hands. So, what I'm going to read from is encyclopedia.com. Social compact theory. So this says, an invention of political philosophers, the social contract or social compact theory was not meant as a historical account of the origin of government, but the theory was taken literally in America, where governments were actually founded upon contract. The words compact and contract are synonymous and signify a voluntary agreement of the people to unite as a political community and to establish a government. Kind of sounds like what happened with our constitutions. That was commentary. I'll get back to reading. Hello, Susan. Glad to have you here. All right. So, the theory purports to explain why individuals should obey the law. Each person in a government that exists with the consent of the governed, freely and, in effect, continuously gives consent to the Constitution of his community. The theory hypothesizes a pre-political state of nature in which people were governed only by the law of nature, free of human restraints. From the premise that man was born free, the deduction followed that he came into the world with God-given or natural rights. Born without the restraint of human laws, he had a right to possess his liberty and to work for his own property. Born naked and in stationless, he had a right to equality. Born with certain instincts and needs, he had a right to satisfy them, a right to pursuit of happiness. These natural rights, as John Dickinson declared in 1766, in quotes, are created in us by the decrees of Providence, which establish the laws of our nature. They are born with us, exist with us, and cannot be taken from us by any human power without taking our lives. When people left the state of nature and compacted for government, the need to make their rights secure motivated them. Alexander Hamilton observed that civil liberty is the only natural liberty modified and secured by the sanctions of civil society. The origin of all civil governments, justly established, must be a voluntary compact between the rulers and the ruled, and must be liable to such limitations as are necessary for the security of the absolute rights of the latter. The most detailed exposition of this theory was by John Locke, the most brief and eloquent by Thomas Jefferson in the preamble of the Declaration of Independence. One of the self-evident truths in the latter is, and this is in quotes, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. The compact theory of government colored the thought and action of Americans during the colonial period and through the period of constitution making. The New World actually seemed like a state of nature, and Americans did, in fact, compact with each other. The theory seemed to fit the circumstances under which American political and constitutional institutions grew. Our system developed as a self-conscious working out of some of the implications of the compact theory. The related but distinct idea, so important in Puritan thought, that people covenant with each other to make a church for their ecclesiastical polity, was extended to their secular polity. Even before the founding of Virginia, a separatist leader asked, "What agreement must there be of men? For church governors, there must be an agreement of the people or commonwealth." A half century before Locke's second treatise, Thomas Hooker, a founder of Connecticut, explained that in any relationship that involved authority, there must be free agreement or consent. This, he said, appears in all covenants betwixt prince and people, husband and wife, master and servant, and most palpable is the expression of this in all confederations and corporations. They should first freely engage themselves in such covenants. The first concrete application of covenant theory to civil government was the Mayflower Compact, 1620. The Pilgrims, putting theory into practice, solemnly did covenant and combine into a civil body politic, an experience multiplied over and again with the founding of numerous settlements in New England. The colonists also regarded their charters as compacts. As Hamilton said later, George III was King of America by virtue of compact between us and the kings of Great Britain. These colonies, Hamilton explained, were settled under charters granted by kings who entered into covenants with us. Over a period of a century and a half, Americans became accustomed to the idea that government existed by consent of the governed, and that the people created government, that they did it by written compact, and that the compact constituted their fundamental law. From practical experience, as well as from revolutionary propaganda, Americans believed in compact theory and they acted it out. It was a useful tool, immediately at hand and lending historical and philosophical credibility for destroying the old order and creating a new one. William Drayton, the Chief Justice for South Carolina, echoed a commonplace idea when he said that George III had unkinged himself by subverting the Constitution of this country, by breaking the original contract. The compact theory legitimated the right of revolution, as the Declaration of Independence made clear. Even before that declaration, colonial radicals contended that the coercive acts have thrown us into a state of nature and justified contracting for a new government. Almost sounds like what we're going through now. Hey, Josh Eddy. Bad connection out there tonight, huh? Hope it gets better. After independence, a town orator in Boston declared that the people had reclaimed the rights attendant upon the original state of nature, with the opportunity of establishing government for ourselves. The colonies became states by a practice that mirrored the theory. They drew up written constitutions, often praised as compacts, and purposefully put formal statements of compact theory into those documents. The Massachusetts Constitution of 1870, still operative, declares the body politic is formed by a voluntary association of individuals. It is a social compact by which the whole people covenants with each citizen and each citizen with the whole people. A minister, Jonas Clark, said in a sermon that just government is founded in compact and in compact alone. The new state constitution, he declared, was the most sacred covenant of contract. The state constitutional convention that framed the Constitution was devised to institutionalize the compact theory. Although the Articles of Confederation do not formally state that theory, letters of the members of the Continental Congress that framed the Articles show that they regarded themselves as making a compact for the Union of States. And the Federalist number 21 refers to the social compact between the states. Similarly, at the Philadelphia Convention of 1787, James Madison declared that the delegates had assembled to frame a compact by which an authority was created paramount to the parties and making laws for government of them. George Washington, on behalf of the Federal Convention, when sending the new Constitution to the Congress of the Confederation for submission to the states, drew an analogy from compact theory. Individuals left a state of nature by yielding up some liberty to preserve the rest, and the states surrendered some of the sovereignty to consolidate the Union. Some of the states, when formally ratifying the new Constitution, considered themselves to be entering into an explicit and solemn compact. As New Hampshire declared, Chief Justice John Jay observed in Chisholm versus Georgia, 1793, that every state constitution is a compact, and the Constitution of the United States is likewise a compact made by the people of the United States to govern themselves. The compact theory answers one of the most profound questions of political philosophy. Why do people submit to the compulsions of government? The answer is that when they established government, they consented to its exercise of power and agreed to obey it if it secured their rights. The compact theory has been remarkably fecund. Fecund. I don't think I've ever seen that word before. I'm going to have to look that up. The compact theory has been remarkably fecund. From government by consent, it led to political democracy. It also led to the constitutionalism as limited government, to a concept of a constitution of fundamental law, to constitutions as written documents, to the Constitutional Convention as a way of writing the document, to the right of revolution when the government is destructive of ends of the compact, and to the concepts of civil liberty and written bills of rights. So there you have it. Now, the one thing they said in here was about a democracy. We're a republic. So this is one of the things that our servants who like to call themselves leaders get wrong all the time. They keep telling us our democracy is at stake. No, your democracy, you treasonous rats, is at stake. Our republic has been infiltrated by British agents, the bar. And now we've got one heck of a mess all these generations later. So I hope that kind of puts an end to all this talk about we don't have a social compact, therefore we don't have a legitimate government. Your state constitutions are your social compacts. That should be easy enough to understand. So, in order to get our freedom with liberty and franchise back, we got to deal with the enemy. Now, our law enforcers swear an oath to protect us from enemies, foreign and domestic. We have foreign enemies here domestically. We have bar card British agents in politics as Democrats. How wrong is that? That's really wrong. So we have to deal with our sheriffs. Complaining to the enemy is suicide. It's ridiculous. It's insanity. So this is what Sheriff Mack wants us to do. No assemblies. He doesn't believe in assemblies. And he thinks the sheriff should be dealing with the attorney general, a low-level servant, way below the sheriff, way below the people. The sheriff will get his warrants from the grand jury. The grand jury comes from the assembly. Now we have assemblies formed, and they're trying to get lawful action from their sheriff, and their sheriff's not capitulating. And their sheriff is saying stupid things because the sheriff's been dumbed down. So I'm going to keep this short. I just wanted to make clarification on this social compact issue because people are putting out videos. There's a book that someone's reading that's saying that our government is not legitimate because we don't have a social compact. Bunk. Your state's constitution is your social compact. So I want to thank everybody for your support, for your thumbs up, your subscriptions, for following, for getting educated, for sharing the education, for donating, and for waking up to be Americans. So everybody, you should get your Americans Notice of Liability off the services page of the website. Facilitate it, own it, keep your original, make copies. The most powerful thing you can do with that is go see your sheriff, serve it on your sheriff, give him a little bit of constitutional education, and give him an order right there in his lobby, underneath his audio, video, where you can do a FOIA, record it yourself so you can share it with us, so we can share it with the people for education. But you order that sheriff that road piracy has ended, and he is to call all the bylaw officers, that's state police, city police, township police, village police, and tell them it's over, or they can spend time behind his bars. And if these sheriffs don't have our back, we'll see to it that they're behind their bars. They're either going to be treasonous rats or they're going to be constitutional sheriffs. That's what we elected them for. That's what we pay them for. But what do? They spend all their time in the administrative process. When was the last time we had a common law court case? That's right. You just don't hear about it because of the enemy, these British agents. The bar is going to go down. It's going to go down hard. There are going to be a lot of people real sorry they were ever involved in that. However, the maximum law is the law is harsh, yet that's the law. So these people have been under the pretense of law with their legalese, trespassing upon us and doing it with the aid and comfort of our sheriffs. Come on, people. Wake up. You got a social compact. You got your constitutions. That's contract. It's trust indenture. And these servants swore an oath. And we're going to hold them to it. Government is to be open, is to be accessible, responsive, and accountable. These sheriffs keep ducking us. They don't want to talk to us. We're the boss. None of these sheriffs are in their seats lawfully because they have broken their contract. They have broken their oath, and they trespass upon us like they don't have a care in the world. That's treason. For a man not to know his everyday job is a deceit. We're not going to stand for it. All right, everybody. Much love. Peace. Be good to one another. Be good to yourself. Download that Americans Notice of Liability. Make it your own. Serve it on your sheriff and create a video. Create some education. That's the way we're going to change this. All right. Much love.